So, good morning to all of you. Um, Today also there are very few students. I don't know why it's so for especially for the final year. Many of your friends are not attending this online class also, and many are not even going through this YouTube the video that I have sent. I don't know how you will manage in the how they will manage once the exam starts. So that's why you just ask them to be there, and that will be viewed seriously also. Now in the last class, we are discussed about some of the agencies which are involved in the wildlife conservation, both government as well as non-government organization. Afterwards, we have also tried to understand about Wildlife Protection Act 1972. Then today, first we will study one more uh, agreement, that is the CITES, the Convention on International Trade in Endangered Species of Wild Fauna and Flora. It's an international obligation for all the signatory nations. Then we will move on to the study of endangered fauna and flora of India. So first, let's know about the CITES, that is the the Convention on International Trade in Endangered Species of Wild Fauna and Flora. I hope all of you know what is endangered species. The species which are on the verge of extinction, or the species which are facing the danger of being wiped out totally, provided they are not taken care of or provided they are not managed well. So this CITES is an international agreement between the governments of different nations. Uh, the main aim of this one is to uh, stop the illegal trade of endangered wild animals as well as plants, because if this continues, probably because of the international pressure and demand, many of these threatened organisms may become extinct. So that's why the heads of the government of different countries of the world thought that there must be some agreement, um, so to curtail the international trade of these endangered species. So this was drafted as a result of a resolution which was adopted in 1963 at the World Conservation Union, IUCN, International Union for Conservation of Nature. Uh, when it was started or drafted in 1963, but it was agreed after 10 years. The text convention was finally agreed on 3rd March 1973, and from 1st July 1975 onwards this site came into force. So finally, there were in the meeting of representatives of 80 countries which held at Washington DC of United States of America on 3rd March 1973, 80 countries of the world agreed to this, and this site came into force from July 1975. The originals of the convention was deposited with the depository government, that's in the Washington, and these drafts are written in English, French, and Spanish languages, and each version is authentic. Now the convention is also available in Chinese and Russian also. Uh, there are about 5,800 species of animals and 30,000 species of plants that are being protected by the sites currently. Uh, the trading of these 30,000 plant species and 5,800 animal species is totally banned. They are categorized into one of the three appendix. There are three appendix depending upon the risk factor they face. Uh, as of June 2019, um, 183 countries have become signatory to this agreement, and abide they must abide by the CITES regulation by implementing the legislation within their own borders. Not only implementing that, they should enforce those regulations. Appendix 1, there are three appendix. Appendix 1 includes species that are in the danger of extinction because of international trade. So, as a result, permits are required either to import or export them, or trade for commercial purpose is totally prohibited. Even for research and other purpose, though they are allowed, for that the permits are required. But for commercial purpose, the sale or trade is totally banned. Um, Only for trade may be allowed only for research or law enforcement purposes, or for any other few other limited reason. For this, first the source country must confirm, the country which want to trade that must confirm that taking that plant or animal won't hurt the species chance of survival. It will not affect the chance of survival. Um, this is known as non-detriment finding. For example, the Asiatic lion and tigers are the two species which are listed in the appendix 1. It is an example. There are many more species. This is for your information. You cannot sell Asiatic lion and tigers to the other countries unless it is for uh, research or for other activities, not for commercial purpose. Appendix 2 includes species uh, which are not facing immediate extinction, danger of extinction, but one have to monitor them to ensure that the trading of those does not become a threat to them. Export is allowed if the plant, animal, or related product was obtained legally, and if harvesting it won't hurt the species. They should ensure that the species which you want to export, it should be legally obtained, and harvesting them will not affect the survival of those species. Chances, for example, American alligators are listed in the appendix 2. It's for an example. There are many more species. Appendix 3 includes those species that are protected at least in one country. Uh, an organism may be protected in one nation, but not in the other one. When that country asks others for help in regulating the trade, they should honor their request. Suppose if the peacocks, uh, they are protected in India and may not be protected in the other countries. So then, if India asks other countries uh, to check the trade of them, they should help us. Regulation for these species vary, and the country that requested the listing can issue export permit. Only India issues export permit, and then only it can be sent. So such strictest protections are given in these sites. So this is an international agreement, remember, and all signatory nations have to bind this. Now, so this is an agreement, like it's an international agreement. Earlier we have discussed the Indian law, that is 1972 Wildlife Protection Act. Now, as per your syllabus, the next chapter that we have to discuss is endangered fauna and flora of India. Endangered fauna and flora of India, discussing them is a very difficult topic, I should say that, because there are so many organisms in India, both plants and animals, are endangered, that it will give us an endless list of animals and plants. So it is not within our time purview to discuss about all those things. So that's why what I have done is, I am going to discuss some of the major endangered fauna of India and flora of India, and something few examples and all. And in the write up, I will give you the list of more number of organisms which are also considered endangered in India. Uh, so that will be the form action plan for the this topic, because there's an endless list, hundreds or thousands of flora and fauna will be there, and of course we no students will be able to remember all those things also. So but you should know some, and so that's why in the class in this I will highlight on some very interesting 25 or 20 to 25 wildlife, and then few again 15 20 plants also which are considered as endangered. In the write up, I will give you more information with respect to the list of the species. So you know the nowadays the world is filled with endangered species of animals and plants. Once the world was filled with wildlife and plants and animal species, but unfortunately today uh, the number of endangered species are increasing. It is not only in India but all over the world, and some of these species are critically endangered. So here, I would like to give you certain terminologies. First, critically endangered, then endangered, then threatened, then vulnerable. These are the four terms which you should know. Critically endangered means the organisms where their number is very, very less and they are facing a very precarious future because of the threats. So unless you implement immediate action plan for their conservation, within few years these are going to become extinct. That is the critically endangered organism. Whereas the endangered organisms, they are also threatened or they are also facing uh, the pressure of being extinct, but uh, their status is much better than critically endangered. So for them also, if you do not practice or manage them, within few years they will become critically endangered and then they will become extinct. Then becomes the threatened species. The threatened species are those species which are highly vulnerable, and their number uh, is also limited, in the sense though their distribution may be in a larger area, but the rate at which they are being uh, exploited is much more than the rate at which they can perpetuate. So as a result, they are facing the danger of entering into endangered category unless proper conservation methods are implemented. Those organisms are called as endangered, sorry, threatened. Then the last one is vulnerable. Vulnerable species, at present, these species are insufficient number, and their distribution is also quite well for a larger area. But the problem is uh, the rate at which they are being exploited is an alarming call. So if the same exploitation rate continues, probably within few years they may become threatened. So those species are known as vulnerable. Many of the medicinal plants are vulnerable. To give one or two example, one is the in this region the Holerna antidysenterica, in Kannada what you call Kodasga, or it can be the Nothopoditis foetida, another plant species, which is vulnerable. Uh, so the care should be taken. They are exploited, overexploited for medicinal purpose. Many of our medicinal plants are like that. So this is the broad idea about critically endangered, endangered, threatened, and vulnerable. So now, here we are discussing only about endangered and critically endangered organisms. So because some of them are near threatened and some have even are on the verge of extinction. There are some species that are left with few numbers, that your next generation may not be able to see them if nothing is done for their protection. So, in order to provide more efforts to conserve these species, first listing them, documenting them is very, very important. So, this endangered fauna of India is an attempt in first listing those organisms which are facing such a fragile future. Uh, Critically endangered species in India, according to Red Data Book, every year the Red Data Book is brought by IUCN, International Union for Conservation of Nature, uh, where if the name of a species appears in Red Data Book means they are critically endangered. There are 47 critically endangered species as of September 2001. But 2011. Uh, the red list of 2012 is out afterwards, and um, in February 2012 at Rio uh, 20th Earth Summit, the red list has listed 132 species of plants and animals that are critically endangered from India. Now their number must have increased much more. Here it is an attempt to uh, give information about those critically endangered species and the reason why they have become endangered, all those things. It is an awareness to the students as well as general public, so that we should take up some immediate action plan for the conservation. In that, the first one is the Asiatic lion. All of you know the last home of Asiatic lion is the Gir forest of Gujarat. Nowhere else in the world you will find this Asiatic lion. And you know this is one of the mightiest species in the world. Entire population of the species is now found in India, and that too restricted to Gir National Park and um, and the environments in Gujarat. The IUCN Red List has declared the animal endangered because the constant decrease in its population since 2010. The total number of Asiatic lion left in the country are just 650. Remember, even less than 1,000. Now, research studies says that their number has increased to something around 900, around 1,000, because of the efforts to conserve them. But still, all over the world, hundred thousands individuals of a particular species is certainly an alarming call to for the environmentalist or even for the conservation biologist. So this is one of the highly threatened and critically endangered species. See, which all of you know, the mighty uh, lions, the mightiest, and this is one of the big cats that we have in India. Then the Bengal tiger. Bengal tiger, this is also one of the big cats of our country. Uh, In Bengal tiger, 70% of the Bengal tiger population is living in India, though some of them are found in Bangladesh and Cambodia and other things. But 70% of their population, overall population, is living in India. But rigorous poaching instances in India, the species is endangered in the last 4 years. Probably the Jim Corbett National Park in Uttarakhand is have the largest number of Bengal tigers currently, and overall number of these tigers in India are around 2,000. The Royal Bengal tigers. Not only Royal Bengal tigers, all tigers are critically endangered. Once the tiger is a multi-habitat species. Once it was spreading from Iran to Siberia. to this northeast. Now it is restricted in only in certain parts of the world, in the Asian countries, and in India. Fortunately, because of the Project Tiger, the tiger population has increased because the tiger Project Tiger has given us a lot of hope as far as the restoration of these tigers are concerned. So this is another mightiest species, and among the big cats, these tigers are hunted mainly for their skin, and then for teeth, or for nails and all those things. Even you might have seen there are people who wear the tiger nails or teeth to their neck as a pendant, because they think that by wearing that they will also become tiger and roar like tigers. People think that it has magical properties, but there is no magical property. Because of this superstition, we are losing these tigers. Then the next one is the snow leopard. Snow leopards are again the large cats, which are found in large numbers in the mountain ranges of Asia. But unfortunately, even mountains are not left from the human interference. We have encroached their natural environment also. Now the number of snow leopards have dropped down to something 500. 500 snow leopards. The, these cats can be now spotted only in Ladakh, Himachal Pradesh, Uttarakhand, and western and eastern parts of Himalaya. And this global warming has also affected them because the melting of the snow uh, has made them to move to the higher altitudes. In the higher altitudes, they are not getting the enough prey. So because of all these reasons, and they are hunted. Because of all these reasons, they are also facing the danger. Then, so this is the photograph of a snow tiger. They are found just and above below the snow line in the Himalayan mountain. Then Nilagiri Thar. It's a mountain goat which is highly endangered. Now found in some areas of Kerala and Tamil Nadu. Uh, the species has become endangered due to the continuous poaching, and even the natural habitat of them are degraded or destroyed. They are considered as the uh, state animal of Tamil Nadu, but unfortunately having troubling in finding a home in the state. So now in the mountains region of Kerala and some part of Tamil Nadu mountains, you can see this Nilgiri Thar, and there must be around 2,500 Nilgiri Thars left in the world now. Even their number is not the very uh, sad news is their number is not increasing but dwindling due to the anthropogenic activities. So this is the Nilagiri Thar. Then the Kashmiri red stag or Kashmir stag. In Kannada, what you call Kasturi Mriga. The Kashmiri red stag is also known as Hangul. And these are also critically endangered for decades. Basically, they are found in the dense riverine forests of high valleys in Kashmir and Himachal Pradesh. Um, the number of Kashmir red stag has fallen as low as 150 in 1970. Only 150 individuals were left. And but since then, there have been many conservation drives conducted to protect them critically endangered species in our country, and there's an estimation say that their number has increased from 150 to I don't know the exact figure, but there is certainly their number has increased now. See, this is the Kashmir red stag. Very beautiful creature with male having branched horns. Then black buck. Black buck is also known as Indian antelope. found in the several regions of India, Nepal, and Pakistan. The species has been declared extinct in Bangladesh. Uh, Now, in India also it is endangered due to heavy poaching and tampering of its natural environment. Here, there is a very good and promising thing is this black buck. Initially, they were the uh, animals of the plains of northern India. So, as a conservatory measure, uh, some of them were introduced to Karnataka, especially in Ranebennur district. Ranebennur, they have started a black buck wildlife sanctuary in Ranebennur. Now, their number has increased tremendously in Ranebennur and in and around, and it has been observed that and reported periodically in the newspaper that their number has increased so much so that uh, they started entering into the agriculture land, and lot of human animal conflicts is also going on. Probably the black buck, though it was still it is in the critically endangered one, but as far as Karnataka is concerned, their number has increased. Even nowadays, you can see the black buck even up to Chitradurga nowadays in Karnataka, and it was only seen in small herds in the country. But now in Ranebennur and area, you can see in one herd there will be hundreds of animals. But as a conservation measure, it has been introduced even Argentina and United States also to increase their number. I don't know the fate uh, of those introduced species in Argentina and United States, but certainly it has given a good result in Karnataka. There will be this black buck, ಕನ್ನಡದಲ್ಲಿ ಕೃಷ್ಣ ಮೃಗ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತೀರಿ. Black buck, there a herd will have hundreds of them. Then one-horned rhinoceros. Probably this is one of the critically endangered species. That one-horned rhino, Indian rhinoceros, and it is listed as vulnerable species by IUCN, but in India it is critically endangered. Animal is mostly found in the foothills of Himalaya, in India and Nepal, and Bangladesh. They are usually poached for their horn. They have this is Rhinoceros unicornis, Indian species, single horn, and animals are poached for their horn. People think that it has some medicinal properties. In the sense, it has some aphrodisiac properties. Aphrodisiac means sex stimulant. So it has a lucrative market in the Orient, in the Gulf. So this has been hunted. Due to constant poaching, the numbers have decreased over the time, and now only 2,000 such rhinos are found in the wild, and few more in the zoos. Uh, Now they are being conserved in several wildlife sanctuaries and parks in the nation, but Kaziranga National Park is the uh, major or the national park where one horned rhinoceros have been protected and their number is increasing. So this is rhinoceros unicornis Indian. African one is rhinoceros bicornis where you can see two horns. Then the red panda. Red panda is also known as lesser panda or red cat bear. It's an arboreal animal that is living on the trees native to eastern Himalaya. The population has dwindled because of habitat loss and fragmentation, poaching, and inbreeding. Inbreeding is also another important problem for them. You can spot them in Sikkim, Arunachal Pradesh, West Bengal, Kanchenjunga, and Namdapa National Park. You can see them. On the foothills and in Himalayan mountain terrain, you can see the red panda. Then another very interesting one is the line-tailed macaques. It is an old world monkey found in Asia and Africa, and but now it is endemic to Western Ghats of South India. Endemic to Western Ghats of South India. It's an outstanding characteristic is the silver white man, and tail is like the lion tail. 90% of its lifespan is spent on the tree top only. The there's a mane like the tiger, so ಲಯನ್ದಲ್ಲಿ ನೀವು ನೋಡಿದ್ರಲ್ಲ ಕೂದಲು that mane ಅಂತಾರೆ that is surround the head from cheeks down to the chin. This can be spotted in Silent Valley, Kerala, then uh, uh, some tiger reserves in Tamil Nadu, Sirsi Honavar rainforest, and of course you can see the maximum number of these light-tailed macaque in Uttara Kannada. That is from Sharavati to Aganashini area, and the northern limit is recently. If you have seen them even in the Kali Valley near Kaiga. So beyond north, we have not seen them. So that's why this lion-tailed macaque is restricted to either central Western Ghat or the southern Western Ghat. Their number is only 1000, 2000 some plus animals, and it is very difficult to spot them also. Sometimes you can see them. Even if you go to Gersopa forest, that is the protected area for lion-tailed macaques, and this is one of the endemic as well as uh, highly threatened organism. You can see them, the lion-tailed macaques. They appear. They are mainly threatened because of hunting, fragmentation, and not getting the food. Even many of these lion-tailed macaques have died because of electrocution. Because in everywhere in the forest we have put the electric lines, and many times they get electrocuted and die. So that's why in our Aganashini and Sharavati forests, all these open electric lines are replaced by cables. If you go there, you can see them. Then uh, Ganges River dolphin. River dolphin. So uh, actually, the presence of a dolphin is the indicator of the health of a freshwater ecosystem. If the dolphins are there, you can say that the ecosystem has a good health. Uh, the Ganges River dolphin has been recently recognized by Government of India as the national aquatic animal. Ganges River dolphin is the national aquatic animal. Nowadays, they are facing that because of habitat loss and pollution of the fresh water. Because Ganges River is highly polluted. Um, Many of the major threat, this pollution is the major threat to the species. Um, there are also reports that these dolphins are killed and traded for its body parts, especially for fat and oil. This is even Ganges dolphin is listed in the Appendix 1 of CITES and Schedule 1 of India's Wildlife Protection Act. They are given strictest for protection. Therefore, hunting of the species and both domestic and international trade in the species or its parts or derivatives is completely prohibited. The only river dolphin that we see in India are Gangetic river dolphin, which are found in the river Ganges and its tributaries only, not anywhere else. Then the gharial. Gharials are one of the three crocodiles that are found in India. Probably this gharial is the longest of all living crocodiles. Again, these gharials are found in the river Ganga and the gharial most preferred habitat in India. Um, Even along to that, they are also seen in the Chambal, Irrawaddy, and Brahmaputra rivers. This is also one of the critically endangered species. Long back, something 10, 12 years back, mass gharial death in the Chambal river. Till that mystery is not solved, how they have died. Maybe because of the pollution in the river system must have resulted in the mass death of these gharials. So this is the gharial. Then one important bird, the Indian bustard, the great Indian bustard, what we can. This is one of the heaviest flying birds of the world. Very large birds. Rarest bird and one of the rarest birds of Indian subcontinent. This bird is seen in some parts of Gujarat, Maharashtra, and Rajasthan. Probably less than 1,000 individuals are left. The species are threatened by hunting and loss of its habitat. Hunting and loss of this habitat. This Indian bustard was also relocated to this our Ranebennur blackbuck sanctuary along with the blackbucks, and there their number has increased. Uh, like Indian bustard, Indian vulture is another endangered bird of India. Vultures are found dead and decaying throughout the dead and dying throughout the India. Indian king vulture found once it was predominant. Wherever the carcass were there, they used to attract the vultures. But their numbers are have also uh, declined. Vulture ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಏನು ನೀವು ರಣಹದ್ದು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತಿರಲಿಲ್ಲ. Um, so this is Indian bustard, the great Indian bustard photograph. Then Indian wild dog, which is also called a dhole, is one of the top predators in the wild forest. Even tigers and lions are afraid of this one because they are living in packs, that is in groups. And they hunt cooperatively. All of them together they hunt. Highly social animals. Um, so even tigers and lions also they do not dare to approach these wild dogs. Um, these Asiatic wild dogs are also called as whistling hunters because of their extraordinary vocal call during hunting. They are found in the national parks of Assam, Bengal, Gujarat, Kashmir, Madhya Pradesh, and in the Karnataka also, Nilagiri Biosphere Reserve of South India. Now, all over India, it is estimated that nearly only 2,500 wild dogs are left. In Canada, what you call it is called as wild dog or ಕನ್ನಡದಲ್ಲಿ ಸೀಳು ನಾಯಿ ಅಂತ ಕರೀತಾರೆ ಅವರು. Threats to them is because of habitat destruction and loss of their prey. So even if you can see in the National Geographic, there is one documentary available, The Pack, which is one of the best documentary ever made on Asiatic wild dogs. See, but they will be always in groups of 10, 15, 25, 30 also. That is a social hunting, cooperative hunting they do. Next one is the hula gibbon. Probably the only ape that is found in India is hula gibbon. Most accomplished acrobat of all apes. It lives in the dense forest of northeastern India and even some parts of Bangladesh and in some parts of Burma and China. Its range extends into 7 states: Arunachal Pradesh, Assam, Manipur, Meghalaya, Mizoram, Nagaland, and Tripura. All northeastern forest, you can see this hula gibbon. And that's the only ape that you can see in India. Then another example is what you call Nilagiri langur. Nilagiri langur is found in the Nilagiri hills of Western Ghats of South India. It's a type of monkey, Western Ghats, South India. Its range also includes Kodagu in Karnataka to Kodiyar Hills in Tamil Nadu and many hilly areas of Kerala and Tamil Nadu. This primate is glossy black fur on its body and golden brown fur on the head. It is of the size of the common langur that we see here, but the females have white patch of fur on their inner thigh, and the troops will include 5 to 16. Many times they may encroach the agriculture land also because they feed on fruits, shoots, and leaves. These species are threatened because of deforestation, poaching. Poaching is for their fur, and the flesh is also eaten. The flesh is having again aphrodisiac properties. See, this is the Nilagiri langur. Then wild ass. Uh, the wild ass range once extended from western India to southern Pakistan up to Sindh and Balochistan, Afghanistan, southeastern Iran. But today, only few of them lies in Indian Wildlife Sanctuary in the Rann of Kutch and surrounding areas of Rann of Kutch in Gujarat province. The animal are also seen in the district of some district of this Gujarat in the salt marshes of Kutch. Shrublands are the preferred habitat. So this is the how the wild ass looks. Next one is the olive ridley turtle. The turtle are solitary, preferring open ocean, but for laying eggs they come to the shore. They migrate hundreds or even thousands of miles every year and come together as a group only once in a year when the and comes to the beaches and lay the eggs. So they dig pits in the sand and lay their eggs and cover them with sand and they go back. So large number of onshore, sometimes in thousand. Here in our Dhareshwar beach also, or even in Karki, everywhere you can see olive ridley turtle coming. But majority of the olive ridley comes near uh, Gairmata beach in Orissa, where you can see thousands. Uh, but nowadays, the olive ridleys are considered rarity in most of the areas of Indian Ocean. See, this is olive ridley turtle which have come for laying the eggs on the beach. Sometimes there will be thousands of such. The eggs are taken out by the local and it is used. So that's why many of the eggs, the young ones, do not reach the ocean. The next one is Indian pangolin. This Indian pangolin, uh, it's also very large animal having overlapping scales on the body, which is meant to protect them. They are massive. In our department laboratory, you might have seen them. There is one stuffed Indian pangolin that we have, which covers its upper face, whole body, uh, except the belly and inner side of the legs. When disturbed, it can roll into ball, even as a self-defense to predators such as tigers. Because of the hard skin, when it if it rolls into ball-like structure, no predators approach that. Um, the color of the scales may change depending upon the surroundings. It's an insectivore, feeds on ants and termites. Even digging the termite mound and with the help of its long claws and sticky tongue, it can see. This is the pangolin carrying a baby pangolin on its back. Mother pangolin carrying the baby pangolin. It's common in our area also. It was common, but now it is very rarely seen. Then next one is the leopard cat. It's a small wild cat of South and East Asia. Uh, since 2002, this is also listed um, as a highly threatened organism by IUCN because of the habitat loss and hunting for parts. Um, the name because the leopard cats, the name they derive from leopard-like spots on the body. They are found in the agriculturally used areas also, but prefer forested habitats. They prefer in the tropical evergreen rainforests. Even up to sea level, they can come. These leopard cats are solitary, except during the breeding season. See, they are small and their skin looks like a leopard-like appearance. So that's why they are called leopard cats. Then another bird is Jerdon's cruiser. It's one of the rarest bird of the world. It is also critically endangered. Uh, it is found um, only in one single site, and their habitats are sinking and degrading. It is nocturnal bird endemic to India. Actually, once it was thought it has become extinct, but C. Jardon in 1848, uh, a naturalist and a surgeon by profession, discovered it in 1948. But later again, the people thought it has become extinct. But it was rediscovered in 1986 by Bombay Naturalist Society from Godavari River Valley in Andhra Pradesh. Uh, for almost 140 years, people thought that it has become extinct. This Jordan cruiser is restricted range endemic, uh, found locally in India, especially in Anantapur and Nellore, Bhadrachalam in the Godavari Valley. The bird is pinkish sandy brown plumage with dark brown crest. So, oh, the photograph I have missed it probably. Then Himalayan monal. This Himalayan monal is another animal. Um, the it's a bird, uh, brilliant plumage and strong association with local folklore. It is from eastern Afghanistan through Himalaya, including Kashmir region, northern Pakistan. In India, we are seen in Himachal Pradesh, Uttarakhand, Sikkim, and Arunachal Pradesh, Nepal. Especially, it is found in the upper temperate conifer forests. Even it can tolerate snow. Uh, it feeds on roots, tubers, and other plant products. The population of this species is highly threatened due to poaching and for anthropogenic pressure. See, a very beautiful bird, brilliantly colored plumage makes it very attractive and the soft target by the predator by the poachers. Then the Sarus crane, large non-migratory crane found in the Indian subcontinent, the tallest of the flying birds. When standing, the height is about 1.8 meters. Usually seen in the open wetlands. They are seen in the marshes and feeds on roots, tubers, insects, crustaceans. Their number has declined greatly. Um, the currently it has estimated that the current population is a tenth or less of the number existed in 1850s. Now there are perhaps only 2.5% animals are seen. Um, it lives in agricultural land also in the close proximity of human beings also. See, this is the Sarus cranes. Then Indian hornbill, which all of you know, are the giant among the forest birds. Spectacular. They play a very important role in the forest ecosystem, especially in the disperse of seeds and forest plants. The hornbills are threatened by habitat loss, hunting, and the loss of large trees. In Uttarakhand, we have good number of hornbill. The Dandeli wildlife sanctuary is dedicated to these hornbills, which all of you must have seen. There's a cask on the beak. The last but one animal which I'm going to discuss is golden langur. Again, this is seen from northeast. Um, if you see the photograph, you will understand why it's called as golden langur. The fur changes color according to season. Um, so this is um, it lives in the canopy of the forest. Again, this is endemic to Assam. Four geographical landmarks. They are found in Bhutan, Manas River, and in between Manas River and Sankosh River and Brahmaputra River, you can see this golden langur. So early morning, when the light rays fall on them, the langur appears like this, a glittering gold. So that's why it is known as the golden langur. Then the last example that I am going to discuss and the animal is the desert cat. The Asiatic wild cat. This is also called as the sand cat. They are uh, threatened because of habitat loss and poaching. These cats are found near the cultivated area and human settlement also around the desert. Even another very interesting thing, the crossbreeding is taking place with the domestic cats. Even such hybridization has been reported from Pakistan, India, and Central Asia. In the past, these wildcats or desert cats were heavily trapped for their fur. Now, trade Asiatic wildcat pets major portion of small cat skin that has been seized in India. So this is the desert cat. So with this, for the day we will end, and in the next class we will discuss about the